YouTubers, it's me here. Today I'm going to do a review on a monster that, well, unlike any other ones, I don't consider this one too much of a monster, but at the same time, he kind of, because he's this, I guess, the size, and it kind of does mention he's a kaiju anyways. Today we're going to look at, let's see here, the saucer monster Nova from Ultraman Leo. This monster, from what I heard, appeared in an episode 49. However, because I'm more into the Ace or Ultraman Taro shows, I don't really know too much of this character's story. However, what I do know is that he's one of the popular Ultraman monsters, and he had his appearance in Ultraman Leo, which was, I believe, after Ultraman Taro. His name, like I said, is strange because it says he's a saucer monster, which he eventually turns into something that turns into a flying saucer, but he looks more like a silly ghost thing that you would probably see on a trick-or-treat. And it's even funnier that because he's red, it kind of goes well with the famous Valentine's Day thing, except it's not Valentine's, it's just the start of February, but you might get what I mean. Now this figure is actually a knockoff of the, I believe it's the Bandai Spark Doll one. There's two different types of Bandai Novas. One is slightly different, and looks more wider looking. The other one is this one here, which apparently it's a knockoff, because there's a real version of it, which I think was made recently this year. I'm not so sure. But either of them looked the same anyways, except for the details, which we'll, for some reason, mention. Just like with this previous character, Arabuda, he did not come with a tag, unfortunately. I think it's because since he's not the other ones, like, let's bring out Brocken for an example, like this one here. This one came with its own tag because he's not a knockoff, even though he kind of is, but not exactly. He's more of, I'd call it the official knockoffs, because he has a licensed company. This one here is obviously a same mold as the Bandai one. And it even has the same articulating points, which we'll show later. First, we're going to start with the details. The details on it are actually quite nice for a copy like this. The only problem I have is the eyes and the mouth. I understand they were trying to paint it and all, but they didn't really paint it too properly. Like the eye here, it looks more crooked. But he still at least has black in the eye and the mouth too. He kind of, with that mouth, he's reminding me of the Star Fox Andross character. He's like, ooh. Yeah. He also reminded me of a type of enemy that I think is in Star Wars, but a cross with a Emperor Palpatine looking suit, except it doesn't have the hoodie, which is good because sometimes those hoodie looking suits kind of make him look more like a creepy wizard occult worshipper thing or whatever it is. So, I didn't like that. But this is not a cult thing. This is a he does look like the type of creature that you would find in, like, I don't know, like the devil or something, but he's not actually a devil. He's more of an alien than a demon. If anything, Yapul is the devil. Now, from what I heard, he's based on some type of a Japanese doll that is, like, red, like this. The simplest thing I ever heard of how to make a Nova was you take a lollipop and you make a red, like, you take some red, what is it, Kleenex, and you have a Nova, and then you have to make the arms. So, I'm on the Wikipedia right now. Because I'm not interested in Ultraman Leo, you might want to Google the full history of it. All I know is that he was a creature that, at first, he's about, how many centimeters? He's about, like, a human size. But then he can turn to 57 meters tall. He can, because he's an alien, he can change to human size, which actually with some figures he's actually perfect, because if you want to do those horror movie things, you can have him as a horror character. He's not actually bad because since he can change into different sizes, this doesn't really matter. You can have him as a giant kaiju, or you can have him as a humanoid character for your horror, jump scare, scary thing, whatever it is. But yeah. Now let's get on to, now I think the detail, I think I mentioned it. The detail only on the neck is okay, or this area is okay, but the only part that's not great about the details is obviously the eyes, but if you can get around that, it's perfectly fine. This is the bottom of it. It's just this hole there. I don't know what it's for. Originally, now the base of it would be different on the real one, but the real one for some reason never had a hole. I also like how on the fake one they actually decided to make this into one piece rather than two pieces, because I think with the seam of a two-piece it looked more uglier, and I think like this it's much better. For some reason his weapon things are not as shiny like the real one is. The real one has like this paint job that makes the thing look like shiny metal, but it's not. It's like a shiny red, but it's kind of shiny, not too much, but it's okay. It's just more dull. I like the feel of it. He's kind of squishy, but mostly hard. I love the caping that he has. He's actually one of my favorite monsters. I sometimes like ghost-looking creatures. But anyway, yeah. Now let's get on to the articulation. This one actually, unfortunately, has two articulating points. I wish he had a third one, but it's, you know, it doesn't really matter. He's this ghost thing, so he shouldn't have too much. His hand, that kind of reminds me of Tyrant's axe hand, can rotate 360 degrees. So you could have it like this, or even like this, or whatever. The whip arm can rotate 360 degrees. The negative thing about this is that when you position it up, this is what happens. He just leans over. Although, if the terrain is at an angle in a way that it's like a slope, but he's facing that direction, he can somehow stand. But on a flat surface, he has a hard time standing. So, because of this, his tentacle sadly has to be positioned like this, which is unfortunate, but what can you do? I mean, I don't expect him to be an ultra act either, but I do expect him to stand too. But yeah, it's only 2 points of articulation. The head looked like it would have had rotate, but it doesn't. It's just one piece of, like, it's with the body and stuff. So, yeah, only 2 points, unfortunately, but it's okay. Now let's get on to the scaling. The scale of this, now, I didn't show this with a figure, but I'll show it anyways. I'll show it to you. Alright, so here's a ghost character. So here's the Nova right beside a Ghostbusters character. Now, if it had if he's those types of aliens where they're more like human size, they should be the same size. I don't think he should be bigger, but if he's one of those to where he's probably this, I don't know, giant macho man in a ghost suit, whatever, this is actually not a bad scaling. In fact, because of this, I can do crazy things like this. Watch this. That's pretty cool. Okay, I'm just kidding. No more of that. He's more of a kaiju, not a scary character. Yeah, for figurines, any figurine, whether it's Lego or Playmobil, he doesn't look so bad. I have this puppet thing that was like years ago. This was like very old. This actually looks interesting with it. It's like this, I think it's like a Daredevil thing. I don't know what it is. The scale of it actually looks interesting, although I think he should be bigger, but this is not bad. Even better, what if he was serving a Yeti? Yeah, what if he was serving a Bigfoot or Yeti, whatever. Now, this is funny, or perfect. Even though in real life Bigfoot would be bigger, or Yeti, this is not a bad scale, really. In fact, you could also do crazy things like that. No, not that. This. Whatever. You can just have fun with it all you want. Oh my gosh, just uppercut him in the neck. Like, give him an uppercut. I'm gonna do this very quickly. So he's 50. Now, forget about, like, the human sizes. Now let's get on to the real scale, like the 57 meters. I believe he's the same size as Arabuda, so let's just compare him with Arabuda. This scale is okay. It's not terrible. I do think that Arabuda should be bigger, or the same size, but this is okay, because they're both 57 meters. What about Velocron from the A series? I don't remember how tall Velocron was, but I think this scale might be a little bit off, but for me it doesn't really matter. In fact, because Nova is more of a humanoid, I could use him a replacement as Yapul instead of, let's say, Alien Hipporito or any of the other Ace villains. What about Doragori? Maybe green versus red. Very nice colors. This scale is perfect, although I think he should be a little bit bigger, but this is alright too, because Doragori is 60-something meters. What about Vakashim? I think on Vakashim it's a little bit better, even though you may think he should be bigger. This is actually good, because Vakashim is 60-something meters, and he's 50. What about Astromons from Ultraman Taro? Yeah, this works. That works too. What about Sadora? I don't remember the size of Sadora. This, to me, it looks okay. Maybe this will go well for his evil gang, Black King. I meant like monster tag team, whatever. Yeah, this is good too. What about an Ultra Hero? Now, this might be, let's see. Not very good. I'm not going to show the other Ultraman this time because it's the same size anyways. The scale is not that great. This is even worse. Actually, it's not that bad, but he should be taller because he's 80 meters. The only one that worked perfect out of that collection was actually Barba, who's a Hitman monster. Barba somehow worked perfect, but he should be bigger. Well, he is big, but he should be more taller than that, but this is okay. Naranga is okay. I already showed Brocken. That was a perfect scale. What about an oil refinery? It looks good. How about another creature with a crazy hand thing, Tyrant? Oh yeah, this is wonderful. However, I think Tyrant should be a little bit smaller, but this works too. What about Hanzagiran? The armadillo-looking creature. Whatever it is. I don't care. I'm just joking. Scale is okay. This is not okay, unfortunately. I would have wished them to be much smaller, but it's too much. This is worse too. It was only on some monsters that had good scales. King Caesar, not great. Or I don't think so. The only Godzilla one, the big one that I think goes very good, is Mechagodzilla. Not only they would make a very good evil team together, even the scaling is perfect because he's actually 100 meters. He's not like the other ones. Yeah, I don't know why, but the Godzilla ones and the monsters in the newer Godzilla series are much bigger. They're like about 100 meters tall. Like this one, this Godzilla, perfect. King Kong, absolutely. Anything else? There was another monster I forgot. Oh, did I chose Stay Puft since they are both ghost-looking creatures? Stay Puft, well, for human size, it's not terrible, although Stay Puft, if it was human, should be much bigger, but the only problem, though, is that since Stay Puft would be 100, if you make them up to, let's say, 100 meters, it's not that bad, but if you mean 100 feet, which I think would be 30 meters, this is not a good scale, unfortunately. But he looked very good as a funny, funky gang thing, whatever that is. So, yeah. Now, so that was the monsters. They're, let's just say, oh, in case, I forgot one more. What about King Ghidorah? Yeah, this doesn't look bad at all either. Kind of, with the red color, reminded me of the flying saucers that were in their Monster Zero. Anyway, yeah. Now, because I never saw the video. Well, actually, I kind of did, but I only saw the clips of his powers. I never saw what is really meant there. And actually, the history of Nova is, very long than all the others. I'll try to do it very quickly. Nova was one of the last few flying saucer monsters left from Black Directive. He landed on the Earth in a park and quickly transformed into a small white Teru Buzu. An angry Toru Umeda soon came across the small Nova and told them he wanted it to rain. Toru hung Nova up on a tree and left him where Gen or Tori found him later. Later that night, a drunk man came by and began hitting Nova. Nova turned red and sprayed the man with gas, making him go crazy. Ugh, that's very... I didn't know he can make people go crazy with gas. The next day was sunny, so Toru came back to the Teru Bozu to cut off its head. He was surprised it turned red, but still tried to cut its head off. Okay, maybe that's too graphic. Nova avoided the scissors. It suddenly grew a bit larger and wrapped itself around its neck. Nova told he would let him see his mother, father, sister again, and had him walk around town while spraying gas at people. Police soon cornered Toru and were about to shoot him, but soon Gen and his caretaker arrived to stop them. Nova began to choke Toru, but Gen knocked it off. Nova then grew giant, that's when he became his giant size, and began attacking the city. Nova destroyed many tanks and planes and began spraying poisonous gas everywhere. Gen transformed into, okay, that's the main character of Ultraman, Leo, and began fighting with him. While a challenge at first, Leo caused the poison gas to disappear, allowing Leo to fight Nova unhindered. Leo fished Nova off with a Leo kick, and all the crazed townspeople returned to normal. So I guess after he killed him, he become normal. But yeah, so that's the history of him. A well-known one that I know of, but I don't know the history of, was when he one time was appearing in an Ultra Galaxy Mega Monster Battle, where now, sadly, the scale of it, well, since Gamora's 40, he should be, I think, maybe the same size, or even bigger, because he's 50. But there was actually a time where, in that Ultra Galaxy one, along with Gamora, he appeared in a episode with Salamandora and Lunatics. Lunatics is a Choju that had the bunny ears. Yeah, it's a Choju version of the killer bunny. Really creepy, but yeah. And then from what I see and heard, he has made other appearances too, and also obviously had his merchandise. Yeah, that was a very tough one, honestly, that story. I never saw too much Leo movies or shows. I know the series, but I never saw any of the episodes. I do know some of the monsters. But yeah, from what I heard, he can turn into a flying saucer. He can turn into a doll form. He can size change. He can also spray this red gas that is not only, I think it's poisonous. He can also turn areas red. I guess red is evil. He, and obviously he has his blade hand, which is used to cut things or bash people with. And he has the other arm, which is just his whips, of course. And that's all oh, and he can also teleport from what I hear as well, which is shocking. And he can also blast some fire out of his mouth. But overall, he's a pretty cool character. There were many different, like, there sadly was only 4 merchandise from what I saw from him. The only 2 that were the best were the miniature figure of Nova by Bandai and the Spark doll. However, if I had to choose, I would actually prefer getting either this one from AliExpress or the Bandai Spark doll type of Nova. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.